Hello and welcome to the second video to do with the Elizabethan society. This is like sports, pastimes and the theatre. And just like with any sort of other aspects of Elizabethan life in England, your social class can affect what types of leisure and activities you might get up to in your free time. And there it is written down. So first of all, we'll have a look at the types of sports and leisure activities that you might participate in if you're a part of the nobility or the gentry. So there is, of course, hunting on horseback. Now this could be partook by men and women. It would take place on horses, as I've said, and usually with hounds and sometimes with birds. That was called hawking. There was fishing, which I'm sure you know what that is. And there's a picture, and I'm not sure what that guy's doing. He looks like he's trying to take a little shot at the fisherman there. Not very sporting. But again, that's a sport that could be that both men and women could get involved in. And we've got real tennis. This was kind of similar to a modern version of tennis, but it might be kind of a cross between tennis and squash. Bowls was a very popular pastime during the Elizabethan era. Obviously, we still have bowls in many forms today, such as crown and flat green, but we might associate that more with older people. However, it was popular with people of all ages during the Elizabethan era. Oh, no, we got one more there. It's fencing. Again, this one is for men only, as was bowls. And that brings us to the end of the pastimes for the nobility. Now a quick look at the pastimes for farmers, craftsmen and the lower classes. So a popular game with the lower classes was football. However, the football that they would play in Elizabethan times didn't really resemble football that we would watch today. They could often be very violent. I mean, it wasn't unheard of for people to die or be killed during a game. Pitch sizes would vary. They could even go from village to village. They could pick up the ball. They could trick people. There were very few rules, if any. And because of the sort of random nature of the game, there weren't really set positions, like we have today. And the lower classes may also take part in a little bit of wrestling, and there's a couple of chaps there having a good old wrestle. Okay, a quick look at some spectator sports then. Okay, there's baiting. So baiting was usually usually be bear baiting, and a bear would be chained to a post with its teeth removed sometimes, or its teeth broken, and dogs would be set upon the bear in a fight, usually a fight to the death. Although bears were quite expensive, so more often than not they would want the bear to stay alive. But the bear would use its claws, to pin down the dogs or attack the dogs. Also, there was bull baiting, which often was a fight to the death because bulls were more common and less expensive, and they would use their horns to gore the dogs, with the dogs obviously set upon them and trying to savage them. These were very, very popular sports. There were arenas built to house them, and a lot of money was gambled on them. Cockfighting was when you'd get two cockerels, two cocks that would attack each other. They would usually be armed, if you like, with metal spurs, and obviously they've got their beaks. The cocks are very aggressive, and they would fight to the death. Again, huge sums of money would be bet on which cock would win. And as you can see in the picture there, we've got two very angry looking cocks. So what about the literature and theatre? So there was lots of new literature was written during the Elizabethan reign. The improvement of the printing press and contributed to that. And of course, literature that was already in existence from medieval times was still very popular. There was an emergence of a new set of plays. So mystery plays that were once popular with Catholics were now replaced with new non-religious or secular plays. that was shown in purpose-built theatre. So if you've probably heard of Shakespeare's Globe in London, for example, that was the type of place where these new plays would be performed. You had comedies that were performed by professional actors. These were very popular and they would tour the country. And the thing about this type of pastime is that all social classes were able to attend the theatre. They might pay a little bit more to get better seats, but you would have a mix of anything from the lower classes, craftsmen, etc., up to gentry and nobility. And finally, we've got music and dancing. So many Elizabethans played musical instruments. Instruments might have included things like the lute, which is an instrument that's similar to a guitar, spinets and harpsichord, which are kind of similar to pianos. Musical performances were very popular, and musicians would be paid to play at official events. Wealthy families might even employ their own musicians. Music was written to accompany the new plays that were being performed, and the music would be performed along with the plays in the theatres. Also, dancing was a very popular pastime, and it brought people together, although upper classes and lower classes did not dance together. So I mean, that's a very brief outline of what leisure and pastimes were like in Elizabethan times. Obviously, you need to do sort of further research if you want to sort of flesh out some of those items that I've discussed today. There's two other videos, one on education and one on the poor, linked to life in Elizabethan times. If you want to have a look at them, please do. And that's it from me. Okay, thank you. Goodbye.